Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast. I am your host, Mual. In here with Jerry. AJ's on the way. Let's get the administrative items out of the way right quick, man. If you are new to the Trap or Die Podcast, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube side. All right, on the YouTube side of things, we definitely appreciate that. Leave the studio. Yeah, leave, bro. Oh, there we go. Okay. Audio side, if you are new on that side, man, make sure that follow button. Hit us with a rating review as well. We definitely appreciate that if you do so. Appreciate everybody checking in the chat live. Who was that? Benz, what's up, player? Film session is out. If you all haven't seen that, film session on JD Downs in the offense. I've been only able to get one down this week, but I've also been working on projects on the side. So after each game, I've been taking a look at Brandon Coleman specifically. When I look at the offense or the defense, it's hard to look at like one person in particular throughout that whole session. So I spin the block and look at some players individually. So I'm getting enough reps on Brandon Coleman, and I'm gonna have one specifically out on him soon after maybe another game or two. Dre, what's going on with you, player? How you feeling?
You know what it is. It's that time of week again. Shit, we Thursday night football. Hey, we need to be tailing him off his picks, y'all. This man over here.
Oh, my Lord, bro.
He breaking the bank over
here. Hey, don't do that to me, man. Don't do that to me, dog. I'm you know what I'm saying? I get one little good weekend. And my man Dre said, man, start a Discord up.
Hey, that's what everybody do when they hit. They start
It's this dude it's this dude who hit $120,000 anytime TD parlay. He went viral over the last couple of days. I think it was Monday night. I think Jamar Chase Oh, anytime, first TD score, not anytime, but first TD score parlay. And Jamar Chase hit the jump for him, and he got over 100 racks on that jump.
But I was trying to figure out though, because I saw the video of him. But was it just that one pick, or did he have multiple like first TD scores on that joint?
It was a 3-leg. So the first two hit. Yeah, lucky as hell, right? But he was confident when that video came out. He had a video, I guess, that he played. I guess it was something that a podcast or maybe something that he does promoting like his bets. But to the point of what you're saying, he had that John, bro. Everybody on him, like the gambling community. They
that
like
ain't gonna hit for a while.
he locked in, like he the shop now, bro. He the shop. What's going on with you, AJ?
Not much, man. Just kicking back, chilling. Just was doing some quick little research before we came on here.
AJ sounds like he got an agenda on this joint today.
Nah, not an agenda. I mean, we'll get into it.
Okay, all right. Well, let's kind of swerve into it now. While we are talking Commanders and previewing that side of the ball, Alex Clancy of the Locked On Cardinals podcast, he's going to be joining us in a little bit. We're going to talk some Cardinals ball from Arizona's perspective, so it'll be good to catch up with him. We had him on last year. We'll chop it up with him in a few minutes just to see what things are going on in the desert. All right, so today, game preview show. What are some of the bigger questions that you have going into the game in order for Washington to beat the Arizona Cardinals? Anybody can start this one off.
I think one of the main concerns is, can they provide consistency and continuity with this offense going forward? Can they continue to be the offense has been moving down the field, but not the offense that was displayed against the Giants, where they couldn't score in the red zone in 7 attempts, but more so the team that didn't have to punt against the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football and capitalize on those red zone opportunities, whether it be Jaden Daniels in the past game, first career touchdown pass to a left tackle, and Trent Scott. Also, Jaden being able to run in one, Brian Robinson getting one. Some other touchdowns happen that weren't in the red zone, but Austin Eckler got a touchdown as well, and Terry McLaurin can they continue to put points up on the board. The other thing is, how will this defense fare against a very athletic and mobile quarterback who doesn't necessarily want to run, but will run to make that additional play, but will get out of the pocket to create in the passing game, and has a cannon of an arm and not afraid to throw the ball, as we've seen in these early weeks of the season.
Yo, y'all here?
I'm here.
Okay, so I think AJ just disconnected, but we got him back. I see him in the backstage.
Yeah.
All right, just in case you forgot where you cut off, you was talking about you went through I didn't lost my train of thought looking at this.
I remember I was talking about just the early connection that Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. have already displayed amongst each other, and Kyler having a willingness to fit the ball in the tight windows to Marvin. I'm not quite sure if Trey McBride is playing, their tight end, who I think is a solid
2 straight DMPs by Wednesday and Thursday for Trey McBride.
Yeah, but if he plays, that's the additional weapon that they got. But on top of that, they still have James Conner in the running game, who is pretty hard to tackle, one of those power running backs in the league. That it takes a collection of guys to bring down. So you want to see them running to the ball. And then something that's important to me is, how will this offense replace the productivity of Austin Eckler? With him being out with this concussion, can Brian Robertson handle that additional workload against the Cincinnati Bengals? He had 16 carries for 33 yards. That's like 2 yards per carry, which ain't shit. And I want to say maybe 1 catch for 7 yards in the passing game. As we've seen, he wasn't very active in the game. Of course, he had a touchdown which was probably at like the 2 or 3 yard line. But overall, he didn't really have any influence in the game. He didn't really push the needle. How will he fare Sunday? As we don't know who's going to be also relied on being elevated from the practice squad to help out with some type of breather for him. Of course, Jeremy McNichols will play, but he's not one of those guys that you really feel threatened of or feel like he brings anything to the run or pass game. Maybe run, not run blocking, but pass blocking as a third down back. That's essential. But yeah, those are my main concerns going into this week's matchup.
Well, I think for me, I got to start on the defensive side of the football, of course. We're all worried about the defense. All of us have questions about the defense because through 3 games, I mean, I'm sure everyone has seen the numbers and the stats by now, but they're historically one of the worst defenses of all time at this point through 3 games. So you wonder what kind of answers that Joe Witt is coming up with. I mean, I got to briefly catch a couple of his comments today. And I know he spoke about being closer, which I was questioning, like, what does he mean closer? And I looked a little bit more and they said that he was more so talking about like the playmaking is the only thing that's missing pretty much. The communication's there, the physicality is there. But for me, I haven't seen the gradual improvement that gives me any confidence that something's going to change this week. So I have to see that in action this week. I mean, we're going against Kyler Murray, who we've been kind of facing these athletic quarterbacks all season when you think about it. I mean, we've gone through Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, and Joe Burrow. All 3 of those are really athletic quarterbacks, but Kyler to me is kind of similar to Baker, and to Baker in the sense that both of those are kind of those slippery type of quarterbacks, smaller quarterbacks. They can make magic happen within the pocket. So I'm a little worried, and I want to see how Joe Witt plans this time, being as though you already kind of had experience going against these type of quarterbacks this year. Is the defense more prepared to, contain Kyler Murray? Because when he gets out of the pocket, he's going to run or he's going to make a play downfield, because he keeps his eyes downfield pretty much. So you wonder what the game plan is there. Offensively, we all know Budda Baker is the guy for the Cardinals on the defensive side of the football. But there's another guy that kind of worries me, and he's arguably their best player right now, Dennis Gardeck. He had 2 sacks against us last year, and he's also balling so far to start this year. So you got to kind of wonder what's the plan for him. Is Brandon Coleman going to kind of be lined up with him when he comes off the edge? How are they going to account for him? And how are they going to stay consistent? Because I do feel like as time goes on, you're going to see, defensive coordinators start to throw different things at Jaden, different looks at Jaden. How's Kliff going to adjust in games and calling these plays? How's Jaden going to adjust in games? Also, the loss of Austin Eckler, of course, that's a little worrisome because he's been arguably one of your best players on offense. If not, right after Jaden, he's probably right there. I mean, that's the guy when he has the ball, he's been making plays happen. So now who steps up in his absence? I mean, Brian Robinson has been pretty good. I know you were a little hard on him after that game against the Bengals, AJ, but I do feel like the Bengals game plan was to really stop Brian Robinson in the run game. I mean, because the run game had just killed it the week before. Robinson and Eckler, I mean, they were a hell of a duo in the Giants game. And then the Bengals looked like they came out and said, our game plan today is going to be to stop the run game. And they were pretty effective at doing it, even though Austin Eckler did have his nice yards per carry when he got his touches. But his is more to the outside, his is more getting him, bounced on the sweeps and things like that. Whereas Brian Robinson, you're kind of looking for him to go in between the tackles, and those just weren't there that day. But I got full confidence that Brian Robinson can carry a load. I mean, no Diddy for AJ.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm over here.
I knew he was gonna say some
player quote.
Whoa.
It was worse when you stop. You ain't even say no Diddy at first. You just stop.
No, I had to say
let
something.
that sink in, bro.
But no, the load. I mean, I'm not worried about him with a workload because he's kind of built for this in a sense. But again, it's just all about the game plan. Are the Cardinals going to come out here with a game plan to stop Brian Robinson like the Bengals had? Or are they going to respect Jaden a little bit more in the passing game? And I do feel like Jaden's performance last week kind of afforded them the ability to have defensive coordinators kind of respect the passing game a bit. So that's going to be interesting to watch to see how the Cardinals play them and how Washington takes it. Because one thing Jaden has been really good at so far in his young career to start the season off is he's good at taking what the defense is giving him. So that's something I really like out of the kid, and I want to see how that progresses going into this game.
Yeah, y'all said a lot and specifically like if I had to narrow down my focus is the run game is actually I agree with that. Ben's mentioned it in the chat. What's going on, Hawk? Hawk also alluded to it. He's worried about Eckler. Eckler is out, by the way. I don't know if you were actually asking, but yeah, he was ruled out. I think yesterday, Hawk. So no Eckler.
I think he was ruled out as soon as he had a concussion. Ain't nobody in the league playing the same week they got a concussion.
Especially
not today.
Not on a Monday, not on a Monday night.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Eckler's out, and I think part of the whole reason why this B-Rob and Eckler situation was so explosive was because like the distinct differences that those two bring to the table. Eckler was the change of pace, like quick, burstful, like explosive running back, and B-Rob is the person who's going to tote. He can make plays in space, but he ain't nowhere near like Eckler in terms of like the agility, athleticism type still, right? But now you're asking McNichols to come in. Hawk asked if anybody's gonna get elevated from practice squad. It's a good question, but I don't know if they're gonna do that just yet. The one part that Ben's mentioned that was going on. Now, granted, I don't know if they're gonna stick to this in the regular season. They may have just been experimenting, but they were putting Luke McCaffrey in the backfield during training camp and the offseason practices, whether OTAs, minicamp, I don't remember. So he was getting looks in the backfield, but I don't know if they're going to go that route. But having two running backs isn't ideal. So that is a question. Wiley is on the practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. So that's an option. But to that point, and even while I'm bringing up the running backs, is to say, you lose a lot when you lose Eckler, and that's important. Like I think the way they dress Kliff Kingsbury, dress up the running back packages with both them in the game, having Eckler be that move piece, whether it's motioning away from the formation, pre-snap, hiding him behind the offensive line, like in a fullback alignment, or offset eye. Like those are things that he can do. And those are things that he can take advantage of. But also just like a person in the return game. Now you got to think about returner. Who's gonna be back there? Now they did have Igbenogany back there when Eckler went out, but at the same time, Eckler was the explosive dude. He almost housed another kick. So I think those are the things you got to think of with Eckler. Do they want to put Igbenogany back there, or do they want to get somebody else a shot? Questions that we won't know until they line it up. I think the idea of like sustaining the offense, we talked about that on Tuesday with Kevin and ourselves, but at the same time, I think this is something that when you think about I wouldn't even say like maintaining the 30 plus points a game. That would be lovely. That would be great to see this early in the season, especially with Jaden at quarterback. But I do think that this offense is going to have to be somewhat of the defense in a sense, right? There's no telling until things get fixed with that coordinator on the defensive side of football and the players, just how much you're going to have to lean on your offense, right? I don't think that there's no I don't think that the offense is scared, like the unit. Like I don't think that they are scared of that pressure. I think they'll welcome that pressure. They're fine with that. But I also think that without balance, there's gonna be some times where like if the offense ain't clicking, bro, if this game ain't going right defensively and the offense just can't get right on a certain day, they really gonna have to lean into that defense. And if they can't come through, that's one of them ones where it's like you down big early. So I think for me, when you're asking about sustainability, one of my questions for the offense ends up being, can they continue converting at an efficient rate? Like, can they continue converting majority of their third downs? Can they eliminate penalties? Now, they did a good job against the Bengals. They got away with some things early, but they ended up getting some penalties late. They still overcame them. But, like, can you continue to avoid the penalties? Can you all continue to grow and stay in sync? Because against the Cardinals, you mentioned a pass rusher, Dre. But also, like, I don't know what the status of. Matter of fact, Budda Baker is on the injury report. And Kyrus Tonga and Dante Stills. But Budda was full. He was a full participant on Thursday. Those guys, generally speaking, on the defense, especially like I've been watching them with Gannon like since last year. Solid unit. But at the same time, like, I just think that defensively you got to find a way to, or excuse me, offensively towards the Cardinals defense, you just got to find a way to eliminate or keep eliminating the penalties and those own mistakes that hurts your drive. You're in another road environment, back-to-back road games. You just got to find a way to keep these games clean and keep your offense on the field without having to lose yards by way of penalty. I think that's the biggest thing when I think, or one of the biggest things when I think about how these guys are going to go moving forward.
Yeah, I think a major concern for me, especially with Eckler being out, is are we going to see too much of this screen game trying to attempt to make an extension of the run game? Budda Baker is one of the best safeties in the NFL playing at the line of scrimmage, and he diagnoses plays pretty damn well and fast. You can tell that he studies throughout the week. I think he's one of the key players that you have to pinpoint on that defense to keep an eye out for each and every down, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of screens or even in the run game. Like, he's just that type of dude, a difference maker. So it will be interesting to find out who they elevate from the practice squad. I don't know too much about Wiley. I want to say he's a rookie from USC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think at some point you got to give Kaz Allen that chance, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to give him a chance to be effective in the kickoff game, possibly, and maybe utilize within the passing game with the absence of an Austin Eckler. Like you touched on, Mual, they also have used Luke McCaffrey in some of those situations in training camp and OTAs of being in the backfield. It's now time to get creative in a sense, because I don't know if you necessarily want Jeremy McNichols sharing carries with Brian Robinson all the way. Like, we know what Brian Robinson can do, but at the same token, you still need that extra oomph. And when you have a guy such as like a Kaz Allen, there's not that much tape on him. That might be someone that you can hide within certain play designs to get some productivity there to make up for Austin Eckler's absence this week. And I mean, I think Austin would be good to go next week, but that's just one thing that I definitely am concerned about in Sunday's matchup.
Well, I mean, so AJ, I mean, I don't know if we fully trust Kaz Allen to go out there yet, because he's never played a regular season NFL snap yet. But I mean, if they want the playmaking ability, I mean, it could be a risk, but at the same time, it could be one of those risk type of reward situations, like a home run type of situation, But again, I don't know how much expectations you're putting on a guy that's never played an NFL snap to come in and kind of share carries with a Brian Robinson in the game. I do know that Jeremy McNichols is going to get a lot of snaps. But who knows? I mean, I would like to see it, because I do think there's some explosiveness there. We just haven't got the opportunity to see it. But for me, the real thing is, and we haven't even touched on this, is Kliff is going against his former team. I mean, he has that familiarity with Budda Baker and certain guys, you know what I mean? So he has that familiarity with those guys. So you got, as you said, AJ, Budda Baker is one of the best at diagnosing those short plays, those screen passes. So you got to wonder if that's going to kind of alter Kliff's game plan, because Kliff is very privy to that. Kliff doesn't have to watch tape of it. Kliff had that for years. So this is going to be interesting to see how Kliff attacks that Cardinals defense. Now, it's not the same, full same personnel that he had when he was there. I mean, obviously Gannon does some things differently. There's a lot of new faces there, but again, the key guy, Buda Baker, Kliff knows that guy pretty well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts and if Buda really affects his game plan.
Before we get to the defense, are we buying into like the revenge game aspect with Kliff, or you think he's treating this like another game?
I think last week was more of a revenge game for him, or a redemption game from the comments that Cam Taylor Britt made than it probably is this one. I don't know if he's carrying too much animosity, so to speak, but I'm sure there's some element of him there that let me go out there and put a little bit of something on this one because this is my former team.
Yeah, I mean, would you want to beat your former employer?
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, do we want to hang 40 on him? I'm thinking like, or do we just want to get the dub?
Man, I think when you even look at Kliff Kingsbury's eyes, that man don't even sleep, bruh. So
right,
you can tell like football is everything to him, and he definitely got that competitive spirit. So hell yeah, maybe Steve Kahn, the GM, who's no longer there, but Michael Bidwell is there. Michael Bidwell really is a Washington Redskins fan, grew up in DC, just owns the Cardinals. Yeah, they gave him an opportunity, but shit, it would be amazing for him to go and put 40 on their head or just, really dog him out while he's out there and show, kind of the reason what gave them the allure to even want to hire someone that failed as a college head coach. You feel me? He was a failed head coach, and they still gave him an opportunity. But me and you, Mual, we watched that season of Arizona in season. Was it in season Hard Knocks? Yeah. Like you could tell, like that man was just kind of like worn out at
all right, man. Break the huddle. I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, like worn out at the end. But I think he definitely want to go out there and show what he could do. And on top of that, he knows Kyler's weaknesses and strengths. He can also give that to Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn to do however they plan to with it. But the two key players of the Arizona Cardinals, he does have that familiarity with, and I would hope that he's giving them some tips on, hey, maybe Dre, like you said, maybe he takes advantage of Buda Baker's aggressiveness at the line of scrimmage, and maybe we get a fake screen wheel or something like that. I don't know, some play action straight off the bat, just to maybe keep him honest for the rest of the game.
All right. So before we get into the defense, let's hear a word from our sponsors, and then we're also going to talk all things Cardinals with Alex Clancy. All right, let's take a break from the show right quick, and let me tell you something about Underdog Fantasy. It is the greatest time of the year. Again, football is back, and it's here to stay till February. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. Went up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite players' stats, such as touchdowns, passing yards, and more. Look, man, I love Underdog Fantasy. The sign-up process is smooth. They have a really slick mobile app, and it's the entertainment I've been looking for. I love me a good fantasy contest. I'm a competitive dude. Y'all know it. So sign me up 10 times out of 10. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code TRAPORDIVE, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code TRAPORDIVE to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 and older in Alabama and Nebraska, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or 1-800-639-8783 or text Next Steps at 53342. New York, call 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right, let's take a break. I'm talking with my mic muted, and there we go. Let's run it back. We're now joined by Alex Clancy of the Locked On Cardinals podcast. Alex, man, appreciate you joining us, boss man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me. That's a hell of a live read you just had.
Well, look, I don't want to tell. I don't want to tell you how many takes that took for me to get done. But I had to get it done. I had to get an ad on. But yeah. So I think one of the interesting things you actually, when you joined backstage, we were talking about the Kliff aspect coming back to Arizona. What's the conversation like in actually the Phoenix, Glendale area with Arizona? What's the conversation like with Cardinals fans and that idea of him coming back? And I also think what's unique is that he's also coming back after a big Monday night stage where it was just him and the Bengals playing on Monday Night Football, and the world, whoever watches Monday Night Football, the world saw exactly what him and Jaden did against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, no, it was impressive. I've never been in the camp of saying that he's not a talented offensive mind. I think he was a dog bleep head coach, which is, he wasn't prepped.
Oh, you can cuss, by the way. So don't hold back. You cuss.
Oh no. It's good to know if I need another one, I need another one. And that's not fair. He was hired after not being a good college head coach. So he was kind of set up to fail by Steve Keiman. I don't fault him for that. He's a good dude. Interviewed him a bunch of times. He's a nice person. And he is very good at coaching quarterbacks. He's very good at calling offenses. One thing I said about Kliff when he was a head coach for 5 years was Kliff can put together a great movie trailer, but a lot of times the movie isn't very good. And you see that with some of the incredible play calls that he has. You're like, yo, where has that been for the last 3.5 quarters? And then, the Cardinals win a game or something like that. He's evolved. He's grown. He hasn't been a head coach for a couple of years. He's gotten much more mature, and he and Jane seem to have something special. But when it comes to Arizona, it's not an afterthought. It's indifference. It's going to be cool. It's a cool thing. You'll high five, game on, and ready to rock,
Yeah, Alex, I think you touched on some great things there, and that's been Washington's fans and even me personally. I could speak for myself. One of my concerns with Kliff, I think we even seen a little glimpse of that towards the end of that Bengals Monday night game, where it was like he was struggling to figure out what he wanted to call next, and then we're having some issues down the stretch. But getting back into Arizona Cardinals season, as you have a quarterback that loves Call of Duty, so they say, how do you feel like he's been doing this particular year? Is this the best that you've seen of Kyler Murray since he's been an Arizona Cardinal?
It's the best situation he's been in since becoming an Arizona Cardinal. I will say that. And he has what I call oh my God moments. And you see him on highlight reels, Jaden's gonna have plenty of them. And it's coaching that gets more of those yielded out of a quarterback. And he didn't have that for the first couple of years. This year, it's Jonathan Gannon is a real deal. Drew Petzing runs a big boy offense. They run the ball. He's more cocooned with a better offensive line. He's got MHJ, Trey McBride, James Conner. If you're a fantasy football player, you must have one of those players on your team or know somebody who does. This offense is ready to rock. And I think with that, plus his maturation from, he'd be the first one to tell you, he could have acted a little bit differently during his first couple seasons. He's a young guy. All he had to do was go on a football field and win for the entirety of his career until he got to the NFL. He didn't really know what true hard work was at the NFL level, and he's learned. The ACL tear really humbled him, it seems, and the dude is an adult now, and it's something that, it's good to see, and it gets you further than just trusting your talent, which is what we saw during the first couple seasons of his career. So he's in the best position to succeed now, and he's got the highest ceiling also.
So, Alex, now we played you all last year for the season opener, and the vibe around Arizona last year, from what I recall, with Gannon coming in, especially Kyler didn't play that first game. He was out for some, the first few months or whatever. But the vibe was that you all were going to be kind of rebuilding in a sense. This is a rebuilding Cardinals team, but you all kind of surprised me with that game, with how physical you all played. And I thought that was, really compliment to Gannon and what he wants to bring and how they responded to him. But now year 2, Kyler's back, obviously. Now, I know we're 3 games in, but going into the season, what was the expectation for the Cardinals this year? And what's the vibe right now after 3 games? Are you all are you still in kind of the rebuilding phase, or are you all expecting more this year?
Fantastic question. Expectations from last year, where they played. It was different. It didn't even matter if they won 4 games. They won last year. Like, the proof of concept was there. You're right. Like, I was shocked week 1. Josh Dobbs was a quarterback for that team for less than 2 weeks. That defense shows up. And I know Sam Howell, I mean, I could have sacked Sam Howell last year. So, like, I understand that it's kind of it's give and take. Like, I completely understand that. But that carried on throughout the entirety of the year. They beat the Dallas Cowboys by 100 points 2 weeks later with no Kyler Murray, with no defense to speak of. So with that carrying over as like the blueprint and the foundation that's so much stronger than what we've seen this year with the infusion of talent, the defense still isn't very good talent-wise. They played out of their keisters up until this point. The pass rush is non-existent. The cornerback room doesn't have a whole lot of talent. They're living on Budda Baker, as you mentioned, as you were talking about before I came on. Kazir White and Mac Wilson in the middle of the field are playing really well, but the best offense the Cardinals are going to have in 2024 is their run game and their offense staying on the field. And that's something that they were able to do for large chunks of the first 3 games, but they faltered against Detroit, even though the defense blanked Detroit in the second half last week. The Cardinals couldn't muster more than a field goal, and they lost by 7. So the vibes are high. The trajectory for this team hasn't been this positive with sustained, perpetual success, maybe ever. It still has to happen. But, I mean, they're in a really good spot, man. Like, they're in a really good spot. You look at all the crapbox quarterbacks around the NFL, Kyler Murray's not bad. Kyler Murray's probably solidified himself as a top 12 quarterback. There's bottom 18, and then there's everybody else. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're in a good spot. And it started with Washington last year. I screamed with excitement, even when they lost that game, with how everybody was playing, because it was such a crazy turn from what we saw in years past.
Alex, you all have obviously Marvin Harrison, but Marquise Brown from last year is gone. Rondell Moore last year, he's also departed as well. Trey McBride is in concussion protocol, I believe, so we don't know if he's playing just yet, unless you have an update for us.
No, we'll know more tomorrow.
Okay, so pass catchers for Kyler Murray. We kind of touched on Kyler as his development as a professional. But what is the situation like with the receiving side? I mean, obviously, Marvin had the big game against the Rams, 4 for 130. And then the game before that, just 1 catch, and then the game after that, solid numbers, nothing too crazy, nothing terrible, but just solid numbers there. So what's kind of the pass catching situation? Is Marvin like the lead dog in terms of like he really is growing each from week to week, or is that like we got to kind of fill this out still?
Yeah, it's probably 70-30. 30% got to feel it out still. Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch are names, again, in fantasy football circles, people know, especially in dynasty formats, deep bench formats. Michael Wilson's a dog. Like, Michael Wilson, 6'3", out of Stanford, had 8 catches last week. Like, he could be a fringe wide receiver 1 on some teams in the NFL, but he's the 3rd option, if not 4th option on this team. Greg Dortch can eat your lunch from the slot. He's quick. Kyler Murray really trusts him. And a name that may strike fear into Commanders fans after this week if Trey McBride doesn't play is Elijah Higgins, who is the backup tight end. He's crazy athletic. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of Kyler Murray doing the Steph Curry turning around before the touchdown pass was caught in the back of the end zone against the Rams. That was Elijah Higgins, who slid on 2 legs like or 2 knees like a 70s rock star and just caught the ball.
I think he's a converted wide receiver.
I was about to say he looked like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's a converted wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a tight end. So, and then you've got James Conner and Trey Benson out of the backfield. So, Marv, it's clunky still with him and Kyler. They've only played 3 games, and those 3 games were Marvin's first 3 games. But it could be a lot worse than what we saw. It's just going to be timing. It's going to be I do mark this game as the coming out party for Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, this could be 10 catches, 150 yards, 2 touches. Like, they're going to need him if they're not going to be able to run the ball like they didn't last week. So it's going to be a Marv game. It needs to be a Marv game.
So with Sunday's matchup,
yeah,
with how you've illustrated how poorly the defense has kind of been in creating the pass rush, and the defensive backs haven't been that great in pass coverage game. If you had to pick between these 2 players, who's the keys to victory for the Arizona Cardinals Sunday against the Washington Commanders? Kyler Murray or Budda Baker?
Yeah, I think it's Buddha because some people in Arizona want him gone. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, his contract is up at the end of the year. I'm like, okay, you resign him. You give him more money to be an Arizona Cardinal still. 31 other teams would be in his DMs if the Cardinals let him walk. I think it's Buddha Baker because he's got a tougher task. Kyler Murray's offense, the offense is well ahead of the curve of the defense. Buddha, I'm sure you guys have seen, he's been playing like he's 23. You know, he's playing like a kid out there. He's an absolute missile behind the line of scrimmage. He's been the heartbeat of the defense since he's come into the league, since the Cardinals traded up for him in 2017. You know, and it's always going to be him. And he's been the guy who has filled all of the needs, all of the holes with lack of talent since he's come in. Put it this way. The Cardinals haven't had a bona fide cornerback one since Patrick Peterson in 2015. And they haven't had a cornerback two since before that with a tandem. So that's been Buddha Baker's job, to just come in and ball out and fill holes. So it's always going to be him. Kyler has a much easier job on Sunday.
Now, I know Buddha is the man. We all know he's the man, but there's another guy on that Cardinals defense that I mentioned earlier on here before you got here. Mm-hmm. And that's a guy who had 2 sacks on us last year, and he's already balling out this year so far, and that's Dennis Gardeck. Kind of talk about him for a bit, and how do the Cardinals use him, and, you know, just overall, how do you feel about him? Because he looked like a beast to me.
Yeah, he's had an interesting trajectory in his career. So he was a special teams savant. He was a situational pass rusher years ago. He had, I can't remember what year it was. I think like 2020 or 2021, where he had like 9 sacks and 60 snaps or something. It was something stupid. Wow. And then Steve Keim decided not to bring in any sort of pass rushing talent, and he's been the starting outside linebacker for the last couple seasons. And I think this is the 3rd season. And this year, we kind of see that thing that we saw. He has 8 combined tackles for losses and sacks during the first 3 weeks. This is the exception to the rule that has been him as a pass rusher. Great teammate. Everybody loves him. He's going to be an Arizona Cardinal for a long time. But talent-wise, he hasn't been relied upon to do this. He's always been kind of by committee. So the fact that he's done it, it's a great story in Arizona. And if it continues, people will start to become believers that he can do it at this level. We just haven't seen it before. You know, so great story, great dude, and we'll see. He's got the best sack dance in the NFL too. The upside down, raise the roof. It's like with this long ass hair, it's awesome. I love
it. Since we're on that defense side of the ball, you touched on it just a tad bit. I'm interested. It's a 2-parter. One, nothing really to do with the other. I'm interested to know like what exactly led to the collapse against the Bills, because I really thought, like, just scoreboard watching, I thought y'all had that. I was occupied with the Commanders, of course, while y'all were playing. But I thought y'all had that game. But then secondly, how has the defense developed under Rich Gannon? I'm thinking the quarterback, John Gannon, since he's come over from Philadelphia.
Yeah. So with the Bills, they were up 17-3, and then the defense couldn't get off the field. There were a bunch of like 3rd and 13s where Josh Allen just ran the ball for first down. Yeah. It was a penalty. And then going to the second half, the Cardinals just kind of stopped. They tried to continue to run the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray were not on the same page. It was week 1. And then Josh Allen just started doing Josh Allen things. The Cardinals still should have won that game. Like, this isn't Homer. You have me on probably because I'm not a Homer, because I will tell you exactly what is happening. And the Cardinals should have won that game. There were a couple questionable 3rd down play calls with must go forward on 4th downs. There were a couple outside zone runs that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then, there was a pass interference call at the end of the game that wasn't called. It was a 50-50 ball on the road. I wasn't expecting that to get called. But it was a good proof of concept against the perennial AFC, deep playoff run team and the MVP of the league so far this year. So it was a good week 1. And with Jonathan Gannon, like, he's got the guys ready to play. Like, you saw the worst version of it week 1 of last year, and that was impressive. So now a whole year, a whole offseason, a couple games in now with some more talent. Darius Robinson, their late 1st-round pick, is out. He'll be back week 5. B.J. Ojulari, the standout from LSU that they drafted last year, tore his ACL in camp. So they're undermanned while having an undermanned talent-wise defense to begin with. So they just got to tread water and keep the Cardinals offense in game so they can potentially get more wins than 4 this year, which they're aimed to do. But it's a huge test against JD this weekend. It's a massive test for what he can do, whether through his legs or in the air.
So which Cardinals team do you think resembles the team that you're going to see more of this year? The Cardinals team from those Bills and the Lions game, or the Cardinals team? It was the Rams that you all beat in week 2, right?
Yep. Right.
So which one do you think resembles the team that you're more so going to see? Because you all were dominant in week 2.
Yeah, I think the offense is going to be on overdrive. Like, I don't think this is going to be a run the ball, eat clock, the other team's better than you. And that's not a slight against Washington. I mean, it's an evenly matched game, but it's not the Bills. You know, I think that was the big thing. The Cardinals had 12 minutes time of possession in the first quarter, I think. Like, they're like, you are not getting on the field. And that's the best way to do it. So now things are a little bit more in place. Marv's got his legs under him. Michael Wilson had a good game. The offensive line has been fantastic. So I think it's going to be a little bit more full steam ahead like we saw in week 2. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know if they're going to be able to throw the ball all over the yard like they did against the Rams. But if the Cardinals' offensive line holds up like it did against Detroit, it could be a long day for the secondary with Washington.
It's been a long season already.
Well, you guys have Jeremy Chin over there too, right? What the hell happened to him? He was an absolute standout his rookie year and second year.
I actually don't even think he's – the fans actually give him back. So I said this after the Giants game, Dre, and AJ, but I think like he's gotten a bad rap with Washington, given that, like, you know, sometimes when you see like standout moments in the game where like they have this one-on-one moment and they lose, like that automatically drives the narrative of this person isn't playing good or this person is playing good, depending on how the outcome of that one-on-one goes. Yeah. I think that's kind of what's driving the narrative with Chin. I don't think the majority of the fan base is in favor of him. I don't think he's playing like great, but I also think that he's just around average. He's made some good plays, like even against the Cincinnati, he had a few good plays against that game, but people aren't talking about it like that, and I don't know why. So like this narrative is kind of like once they see it, like that's all they know. That's all they know.
And I think it's also some of the hardcore fans don't know exactly what Jeremy Chin's responsibility is on the defense. It kind of resembles what Budda Baker is to the Arizona Cardinals. He's just not as good as Budda Baker because they literally have put Jeremy Chin at pass rusher. He's played defensive end some downs. He's playing some linebacker. He's playing free safety, strong safety. He's pretty much doing everything. He's just not getting to blitz as much as you would probably like him to. But yeah, I mean, has all the intangibles to, especially the size. You're talking about a 6'3", 225, 4'4" safety that can do everything, and also played some slot corner for the Panthers last year. So he has the athleticism. It's just up here, you know. You got to get with the right scheme that's going to utilize you all the way. But he's been productive, I think, so far in, you know, getting acclimated to a new defense. But he damn sure ain't no Budda Baker. Budda Baker, to me, is one of the most underrated players in all of the NFL.
I love Budda, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big-time Budda Baker fan. That's why it upset me to see how they handled his contract situation. Like, I'm just like, why is he having to fight for money there? Like, it just makes no sense to me. So it will be curious to see if he hits free agency next year. If he does, I'm hoping that the team that we cover and we talk about definitely goes and makes that addition to the team.
Look at him. He forgot about Chin already, bro.
Jeremy
Chin. Jeremy Chin here. Budda Baker is past the screen that we can even see. I'm single out here.
Hey Alex, talk to us, man. Let's get a prediction from you. Appreciate you joining us, boss, man. What do you think is the outcome of the game on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals against the Washington Commanders?
I think it's first to 30 wins. Like, I think it's gonna be a lot of points scored. I think the Cardinals will win. Like, I'm not used to saying that over the last 2.5 seasons, but I think the Cardinals will win. I think it's a statement game for them, not because it's Kliff Kingsbury, not because they see themselves potentially more talented than Washington. It's like, if the Cardinals are going to continue down this trajectory of positivity and actually being set up for success, they're supposed to win this game. Like, on paper, the offense for the Cardinals is the best of the 4 offenses or defenses for both teams, that's the best 11-man lineup. It's close. I mean, especially if Jaden's going to be able to have this meteoric rise, but the Cardinals should win this game. And I think with this coaching staff, with Kyler Murray matured, with the defense playing out of their mind, I think that even if they give up 24 points or something, I still think the Cardinals are going to score more. So I'm taking the Cardinals. I didn't take them last time I talked to you guys, but I'm taking them this time.
What's giving you that conviction this go round? Not from last year, but just overall, like this is the game that they're gonna win to make that statement for the remainder of their season. Because I truly believe that you don't truly know most of these NFL teams who they are until week 4 of a season.
Yeah, and it's a good question, and it's awesome because I actually get to say this. I forgot about this. What the last regime did with Kliff Kingsbury, what we experienced watching, covering, talking about. So you guys have seen a little of this because I've been watching from afar. Is 1st and goal, timeout, false start, kick a field goal. The entire time with the Giants. 6 field goals? You're in the red zone 7 times or whatever it was. I'm like, nothing's changed, baby. That's exactly what it is. I remember it was 4th and 1 inside the 20. They decided to go for it. Nope. Timeout, false start, kick a field goal. I'm like, okay, it's the same thing. That's what the Cardinals had as a head coach. It's different with the offense. It's a different thing, different team. Kliff's matured and evolved in the last couple of years. The Cardinals don't have that. So it's something that you trust the offensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator, Nick Rallis, is coaching out of his mind. Jonathan Gannon is a man, and he is the leader of this team. It is a different thing. Like Dan Quinn's the adult in the room there. He's coached. He's had success both as a coordinator and as a head coach. Like, I think Kliff still has an expiration date when it comes to his play calling because adjustments have never been his thing, ever. He calls his plays. The scripted ones in the beginning are usually pretty good, and then you kind of taper off towards the end of the game and you run the ball so you run the clock out and win games. That's what the Cardinals experienced for 5 years. Now, it's not necessarily the same situation, and the Cardinals don't have that anymore. So that's why I have this conviction that they're supposed to win because they're the better offense. It's as simple as that right now. I'm not saying trajectory-wise. I'm saying right now, the Cardinals have better offensive players and a much better offensive line than the Commanders do. And that's why I think – I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch, but I do think the Cardinals will win.
It should definitely be a good game on Sunday, man. Alex, appreciate you joining us, boss, man. I want to give you the floor to plug anything and everything that you got going on. And obviously, I would say best of luck to your mob or to the mob on Sunday, but we got some dubs to get over here in Washington, bro.
I get it. Yeah, at Clancy's Corner on Twitter, Monday through Friday on YouTube, Locked on Cardinals, and free and wherever you get your podcast. I appreciate it, guys. This is always a fun one. So thanks for having me.
Hey,
appreciate you, man. Stay safe, Alex. Enjoy your weekend.
All right. Likewise.
Yes, sir. And there is Alex Clancy. Fellas, let's close out with the rest of our defensive thoughts. I'll be quick. I think AJ, you went. I think both y'all went. I'm sorry. So I guess I'll just go. Yeah, I think the one thing that just stood out to me, because I just really wanted to touch on this, was now I do a lot of shout out to Hogs Haven for in my gang at Hogs Haven for capturing the quotes. I usually get the information from there because they banned and they don't send me the transcripts to my email no more. I would cuss y'all out, but I want to get my emails. But they Hogs Haven wasn't able to capture everything that I was looking for. But they did say one thing, Bill and Bangkok, thank you. This is not the style that I envision right now, but we're trending that way. This is from defensive coordinator Joe Witt as he ended his press conference today. I think for Washington, what I've appreciated watching the Cincinnati Bengals is that they are experimenting on the defensive line. And what I mean by that is like alignment changes. Deron Payne has started to move towards the edge, like the 5 technique outside of the tackle, the 7 technique outside of the tight end. Like they've been moving him around. And I think that's that. To start, there hasn't been no significant changes in terms of like production on the particular play, but they're trying to find things that are different. And when they move him out there, Johnny Newton comes inside. Johnny Newton moves to the 1 tech or the 3 tech, in between the tackle and the guard. And they have John Allen, and Deron Payne all out on the same field, and then the edge rusher, depending on who it is. So given that Cleveland Farrell was out against the Bengals, I would love to see what that would have looked like if Cleveland was actually healthy and could have these looks with those three on the field at the same time. But John Baptiste has been out there, and he had a sack against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think the way that they're doing things up front, they're experimenting. They're trying to find ways to add pressure. But I think that's kind of the biggest thing, is like trying to find these answers. Outside of the alignment shifts and changes and experiments, I think what also is important to note, they got to find something with these like line games altogether. The stunts, the twists up front, they haven't really, in my opinion, they haven't really been rushing in unison. Things look a little chaotic up front in terms of like the cohesiveness when they do rush. It looks like they don't have a rush plan when they do these twist games. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just crash into this center. And then the other person's like, oh, let me loop. I forgot to loop. Let me just go ahead and loop. And like it's nothing where it's like it's really like effective, like coordinated efforts from either the crasher or the looper. The crasher meaning the person that's going to actually like take the hits. I'm gonna run into this guard and I'm gonna knock the tackle off. I'm gonna knock the center off of his feet as well. And Allen or Payne is gonna loop behind me. I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just trying to figure things up front and get a little bit more coordinated with their rushes. In addition to finding these mismatches with Deron Payne and Johnny Newton. Nope, did not say John Allen on purpose, because I don't know what the fuck he's doing right now.
So John Allen for you right now, Mual, is he the biggest disappointment right now for you on that D line?
I would say he's the biggest disappointment. Yes. Also, I felt bad for myself in Trapper Dive because I didn't. So I told y'all I wasted my argument last week or last episode with Kevin on the damn quarterback or just to top the draft pick conversation. And I didn't feel like arguing about the idea of Deron Payne like being however he described it. I didn't really agree with that either. I think he flashed, and I actually think literally what I told Alex about like, you know, you see somebody making like a play or two in a one-on-one moment or something like that is standing out, then the narrative drives like, oh, this person's playing good. I don't think Deron is playing terrible. I think John Allen is playing worse than Deron. So to answer your question, I do think that John is like, when we get to the double teams, that's the main thing that bothered me. I don't expect every defensive lineman to take on double teams and win them every time, right? But when there are moments when you have your defensive linemen not being able to identify trap blocks or blocking schemes altogether, what that means is when they can't identify trap blocks, right? They go too far upfield, or they can't feel the trapper coming to their left or to their right, whichever side they're on, and you don't squeeze that gap, right? Like now all of a sudden you're outside of the gap. Nobody's able to really replace that or defend it. But then also when you can't take on double teams, what I mean by that is you can't stalemate it, anchor down and stalemate. You're getting driven 3-4 yards off the ball. That is a problem. And I think like that's the conversation that people need to have when we're talking about taking on double teams. It's not, oh, they're getting double teamed so much. So these edge defenders have to do something. No, it's not just that. They're getting double teamed in the pass game, they're getting double teamed in the run game. But that doesn't mean that these guys who are getting double teamed have to lose. Stalemate. That means stand your ground. That's all that means, bro. So I don't. That's the part that I don't agree with when it comes to like the defensive tackles in particular with John Allen and Deron Payne. And that's why like it's just different, bro. Like I don't think Deron has been terrible. I think John Allen's been worse than Deron, but I don't think neither one of them are playing good ball. All collectively, I just don't think they're playing good enough.
Yeah, I think the lack of these guys playing in preseason as well together is them having to create this unison on the fly. That's the only thing I can really attribute it to, whether it be from the actual players' perspective and coaching wise. It's like, man, if the Kansas City Chiefs can come off a Super Bowl and play Patrick Mahomes and all these other guys, why the hell can't you? Like, at the end of the day, you need to try to build this continuity. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. You just hope that it can improve, but I'm not personally inclined to think it will. I heard Joe Witt Jr.'s presser today. He always tries to take onus and puts the blame on him and the things that he could do better. I got to give him kudos for being a first time defensive coordinator. He's tried everything so far.
Yes.
He's tried everything. He doesn't mind having flexibility with players. I love seeing Deron Payne playing some DN in these situations just due to the fact of the lack of pass rush, but trying to get those three particular guys, Johnny Newton, John Allen, and Deron Payne on the field together. Also like the comment about, the cornerback room too. Like, hey, we're still waiting for for a couple of these guys to say, hey, I'm that dude in a sense. Like, I'm him at that position. And that's why they're going to continue to go with somewhat of a rotation. So be curious to see where they play Forbes on Sunday, where they play Ben on Sunday, where they play Noah and Mike Sandstrom on Sunday as well. Because, like Joe Witt Jr. said, they don't really have a starting group at this point. It's kind of like we're just going to use the rotations and just see who really wants it. And this defense is predicated on creating turnovers. And so far, if I'm not mistaken, they only have one turnover through 3 games.
Yeah, and that was the forced fumble. But I wanted to question because I know a lot of people talk about the preseason and guys not playing, and I do agree. I do want to see these guys get out there and play more. But what is this whole thing they sell us every year now that the joint practices are more valuable than preseason games? I mean, that's what they've been selling us. But couldn't they get that continuity in those joint practices the same way they would in a preseason game?
I mean, I think when you have the Jets situation where it's pretty much a downpour, and then Miami 100 and some degree weather, they probably just ain't put in. I wasn't there. They probably just ain't put in the type of work that you want. And from my knowledge, how joint practices used to be was they'll be with that team for 2 days, not just one day, and have a walkthrough the next day by themselves. So I just think it's all adjustments. I think it's also a case of like maybe Dan Quinn them playing it a bit too safe, because you've seen it with Jaden Daniels. I feel like certain players have had training wheels on them. Brandon Coleman is one of those guys going through it right now. Like, I think the snap count has went from like 15 to 22 to 29. Like, bruh, at some point you gotta let this shit go and let dudes truly play.
Hey, let's go ahead and close this out with our over-unders and our score prediction and MVP. Let me pull up FanDuel right quick. Damn, you know what I forgot to do? See, this is why I need a person to help with this show. I forgot to post my underdog fantasy picks for the Thursday night game. But I mean, I got 3 or 4 for Sunday, so I'll be all right. Let me pull up the props for Washington and Arizona. Where are we at? 4-5. Got it. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's get into the props. Everybody in the chat, if you want to play along, go ahead, put the numbers or the over-unders in the chat. Here we go. Kyler Murray, over-under passing yards, 230.5.
Over.
Damn. I'm going over too. Jaden Daniels, 215.5.
Over.
Actually, no, I'm gonna say under. I'm going under.
Under 215.
I think under 215 this week.
So I'm gonna say over on Jaden, but I'm revising Kyler's. I'm going under on Kyler. I'm going under on Kyler. So under 230.5 for me. Passing touchdowns. 1.5 for both. So do you got Kyler and Jaden going over or under?
I got Kyler going over, and I got Jaden going over as well.
I got Kyler over, Jaden under. I feel like this would be more of a running game for Jaden.
Okay. I got both going over on that one. All right, so the way FanDuel is set up right now, this joint is tripping. It don't even have like the other player props on there. So what I'll do, we can do total points and then we can just get to the score predictions. And I'll freestyle one. But let's go ahead. Let me go to my freestyle. The running game for Washington and the running game for Arizona. Run game for Washington, let's say combined total yards, right? Let's say over under.
Do individual.
I know why you want to do that.
I can't just strap. All right, what we gonna do? B-Rob. Let's do B-Rob.
That's what he want to do. He want B-Rob.
Let's do. Because I'm about to say they about to mix it up, but let's do B-Rob 60.
What's the number on B-Rob this week?
That's what I'm saying. FanDuel don't have it. FanDuel don't. So I'm making it up. That's why I wasn't trying to do that, but he want to say under. So let me go ahead. Let me give you a number. Let me give you a number that's gonna make you say over. Then B-Rob 52.5.
Under.
Wow. Look, I'm gonna customize this and say I'm going over 75 yards for B-Rob this week. I think he has a big game, big bounce back game for him.
Okay, over 75.5. I'm gonna go ahead and say over the 52.5 mark. AJ can remain a hater.
16 carries, 33 yards. I ain't hating.
One game, AJ. One game.
Yeah, one game. You know what I'm saying? I bet you. Hey, all right. Okay, how about this then? Is he going over 33? Yeah, since you want to do it like that,
if you go do it like that, he better. If he don't go over 33, he go to practice squad.
No, is he going over 33? You just threw it in his face. What's up?
Yeah, you better go over 33 if he gonna be the main back.
AJ, you act like that man ain't had like 130 yards rushing the week before.
The week before, bro. He went out there with Austin Eckler on the joint.
The way that game was going Monday night, he should have had well over 33 yards, bro.
Every yard that he got was after contact.
16 carries, averaging 2.1 yards for 33 yards.
All right, man.
One receiving catch for 7 yards.
All right, how about this? I bet you his average, he averaging up. That's what we should have did. We should have did that. The average yards per carry. I bet you he averaging over 4.2
on Sunday.
4.2
I'm
yards.
saying I would say 4.5 myself. He'd be over 4.5.
Right. I mean, hey, we're gonna be on here at 7:45 p.m. Sunday. So hey, y'all just remember that.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and close out with our predictions and MVPs. Who wants to take the floor first?
I'll go. I think MVP of the game would be Jaden Daniels. I have Washington winning. I think Jaden makes his impact in the air, also on the ground as well in the running game. I think that he'll have to do a bit more to make up for the fact of the departure of Austin Eckler due to the concussion. I see them having the ball in his hands more to be able to throw downfield. I just see him having another amazing game and them riding the momentum of the play calling and just the connection. It's a lot of momentum. And I think also them being in Arizona this entire week, I think that's also a great energy and vibe for this team to build. Late last night, I ended up catching the little promo video that they had for Monday night's game. I can't even fake, bro. Whoever did that video,
vicious.
Yeah, they was in
Had
that
me
bag.
geeked if I said way better than
kudos to
throwing rocks,
you. I'm
throwing rocks
gonna
at the
find
wall,
out.
bro.
I'm gonna find out who it is, and I'm gonna tell them personally. Like they did an amazing job, like curating that video. But what really got me was Lulu in that locker room
Lou, yeah.
when
2
he
weeks in a
was
row.
like, "Where my
Care.
dogs at? Where
Oh,
my
yeah.
dogs at? 2 claps, Ric Flair." Boom. Yeah. I don't even get hype about stuff like that, bro. But
Nah, that joint was
that
fire, bro.
energy, that vibe that you can see in the locker room with all the players buying in and that love for even Luvu, who in Carolina they call Uche or whatever, like you can see that they're buying into the culture and these guys are really creating a brotherhood for one another. And I think the example will be shown by how close they're getting just by having to be in like a place like Arizona all week with one another and being able to share moments outside of just even football. I think you'll see that translate to the field on Sunday, and they'll be able to continue to build on this and for the first time in a long time be on a 3-game winning streak.
So yeah, I do want to talk about that video just for a brief second. Now that they did it last week, the same locker room thing with Frankie Louvu, and my first thought was when this
I didn't even
defense
see it
starts,
last week.
yeah, so that's when I first seen Louvu do
Yeah,
the
I ain't
hype
see it
thing.
last week. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's his thing now, and apparently when they win. But I was like, these are gonna hit so much harder when the defense is actually balling, because everybody's into it. But I love the locker room camaraderie, and I gotta attribute that to Dan Quinn. I feel like that's the type of culture that Dan Quinn brings with him. So I want to see more wins because I want to see more Frankie Louvu hype videos. Like that just gets me going. That gets everyone going. But for my prediction this week, I'm predicting another Frankie Louvu hype speech at the end of the game. I think we win 34-31 this week in Arizona. It's going to be a high scoring game. Take the over if you're into the betting like we are. Go over. MVP. I'm going to say Brian Robinson this week. I think Brian Robinson. I think he has a big game.
Hey, if that's the MVP, we in some doo-doo.
Hey, not necessarily. I think he has a
That's
big game this
hilarious.
week, man. Like last week I think.
Hey, Dre is a troll, dog.
No, I'm dead serious. You did kind of make you inspired me a little bit. No, you inspired me a little.
Dre trolling me, dog.
But no,
That is
seriously
funny.
though, man, I do think that Brian Robinson is going to have a big bounce back game because the focus was on him last week a lot in that game, which surprised me. I thought the focus was going to kind of be on Jaden Daniels, but because of the game that Brian Robinson had against the Giants, and also coming in this week, there's going to be no Austin Eckler. So I think Brian Robinson going to be ready for the role, man, that he's going to have this week. And I see 2 touchdowns this week, and I see over 90 yards rushing for Brian Robinson this week.
Woo! Okay. All right, my turn. Hey, bro, I got the Commanders going 3 straight too. I just want to preface this: I'm not influenced strictly off of the Bengals like shock and all win. But I am impressed by the development in Jaden Daniels from week to week to week. That's the main thing. And I think that the offense specifically is on fire. And I don't think that fire is dimming out right now. It's not against the Arizona Cardinals defense. So that is the reason why I think that Washington wins it. I think that last week was a glimpse of Jaden Daniels showing that he, like my biggest thing with players, just from the scouting side, just understanding like certain players and like how you kind of want to group them in to certain groups. There's players that you win in spite of. There's players that you win with. And then there's players that you win because of. And I think that Cincinnati game was a glimpse into Jaden Daniels' ceiling, and that he is a player that you win because of the things that he did against Cincinnati. And I'm not over exaggerating. I'm not like diving into some type of hype. It's genuinely how I feel. And that doesn't matter like throughout the course of a 17-game season where like he doesn't look good on a particular week. Is exactly how I feel. And with that being said, I think that I will ride exactly what this offense between Kliff and Jaden is going through. And just also the chemistry that everybody on the offense is playing with. I will ride that into Arizona. I think Washington wins. I think Washington wins 28-24. And the MVP is going to be Jaden Daniels. So that's what I'm feeling. Jaden Daniels MVP. Washington wins 28-24. Okay, cool. That's gonna wrap it up for us. Fellas, the gamblers in the chat, Dre on the stream. I know AJ doesn't do this, but you should do Underdog Fantasy. AJ, that'll be a cool look for you. Put a little. Oh shoot, you can't. Smart man, I got you. I know what that means. All right, all right. But good luck to all the gamblers out there. Good luck on your parlays. Good luck tonight. Good luck on the weekend. I'm not creating no Discord, Dre, and everybody that's been listening. I'm not doing that pressure because I mess around and be bankrupt trying to keep up with everybody. Like I can do this. No, I can't.
Subscriptions.
I got my friend Rick. Bro, he over there and bro, he sent me bread. I told him don't do it, bro. He sent me bread before the games on Sunday. I was like, son, don't do it. He said, bro, I don't care about this money, bro. Just go ahead, take this bread, place these bets. I don't care what you do. Place the bets. We went 5-1 on his tickets. I'm still playing with his money right now. I got a game. I got a bet for him tonight. So it is what it is.
You better hurry up.
Oh no, we good.
Game about to kick off.
Yeah, we good. Yeah, we good. We're everything locked in. So yeah, enjoy the game, everybody. We up out of here. Stay safe. All that good stuff. Peace.